Security at Air Force Base. We have ICBMs, so security is kind of a big deal. Only shit that ever happened was some hippies jumped a couple fences and were hitting a hardened blast door with a sledgehammer trying to sabotage the nukes. It was the top cover for a retractable antenna. They were nowhere near the nukes. Bored as shit, hanging out on the tarmac, near a little used airstrip at one end of base. All air traffic comes through the other end. Security patrol starts screaming into the radio that they have an unknown situation. Everybody scrambles, chambering pistols and grabbing M16s. Patrol is still screaming into radio. Sounds scared shitless and isn't making any sense. Second patrol is dispatched to back them up and to find out what the hell is going on. We're on standby in case they need additional backup. Don't even have Humvees. We're still rolling in old-ass Blazers. Suddenly, somebody calls over the radio reporting unidentified radar contact that isn't responding to hails. Clusterfuck as everybody scrambles to respond to that. They wheel in an old as fuck M167 VADS out of the hangar and start loading it. Other end of base reports that they're loading up a pair of helicopters with an infantry squad each and arming the door gunners. What the actual fuck is going on? Gunshots heard in the distance. Somebody's going full Mad Minute. Second patrol radios in, screaming that they need backup now. We roll out there. Both patrols have literally circled their vehicles like a wagon train under attack by Indians, and are hiding behind/under them, scared shitless. We don't see anything. First patrol spotted what they thought was an animal on all fours, until it stood up on its hind legs, ran, and jumped over the fence. A fucking 12-foot fence topped with razor wire. They freaked out and called for backup. Second patrol shows up, calls bullshit. They split up to search for clues, Scooby-Doo style. First patrol spots it again, hiding in a drainage ditch. A guy in second patrol says another thing grabbed him from behind and lifted him off the ground. He panics and empties the magazine of his M16, fortunately not hitting any of our guys. Whatever has him, drops him, and jumps over the fence to join the first thing. Everybody freaks the fuck out, circles the wagons, and establishes a defensive perimeter, while crying for backup. These are Air Force guys who spend all night drinking coffee on a base in the middle of the US during peacetime. They are not prepared for this shit. We roll up and help search for the monsters. We ain't find shit. Guys at other end of base are reporting a blue light hovering over the missile silos. Our choppers haven't even finished loading up yet. Base commander says the light/aircraft isn't ours, so smoke it. We hear the VADS open up and see tracers arcing into the night sky. Holy shit, that's beautiful. No explosion. Nothing. We can't see the light from here thanks to a small hill. Radio reports that mysterious light shot over to the airfield after being fired on, and presumably missed, hovered for a few seconds, and then disappeared. Entire base is scrambling. Anyone who wasn't awake already woke up as soon as the Vulcan opened up. Search entire base and perimeter. Nada. The entire thing is announced as a false alarm due to jittery nerves. Patrol guys put on leave for a couple weeks. Then, when they come back, they're assigned to guard a different part of the base. I get assigned to patrol that area instead of my cushy little spot back at Security HQ. Motherfucker. Never see anything creepy or unexplainable the entire 2 years I'm there until I get out. So, yeah, I somehow managed to miss everything despite being in the middle of it. Alright, X, here's my spooky story for the day. I recently moved right into the middle of the Mojave Desert in California. I naturally got into dirt bikes. There are miles and miles of trails out here, and we're like 30 miles away from any kind of city. There's a track where I live that's deserted most of the time, but I don't really frequent that. I prefer trail riding. So out where I ride, there's a lot of flatland and 3 big hills about a mile away from each other. Every time I ride, I go a little further. I eventually made it to the 3rd big hill. It was amazing, perfectly quiet, just the sound of the wind that never stops blowing around me. I hop back on my bike to go a little further, and I was overcome with this gut-wrenching terror that came out of nowhere. It felt like I was being watched, I guess. But I couldn't see shit. It's all mostly scrub brush and big rock outcroppings. So, I shit my pants and got back home as fast as I fucking could. That was about 2 months ago. Today, I went out for my weekly ride, and I figured I would go back to the third hill. I decided that I was just being irrational the last time I went there. The isolation must have gotten to me. Plus, I've been riding a lot longer now, so there's no reason to be frightened. I go out and get to the first hill. I stop and relax for a bit, and smoke a cigarette, and listen to the silence. I then got back on the trail, and toot on up to the third hill. I wasn't even thinking about the last time I was there. Everything was great. So, I go even further. Past the third hill is just a little more wavy, smaller hills. And a lot more giant rock things. I know people go out here sometimes because there were other tire tracks. But I spotted what looked like a cave entrance. Even if it wasn't a cave, someone could definitely fit under the rock. At the entrance of this opening, there was a pile of rocks about the size of a hand, all stacked up pyramid style. I took note of that and kept going. But as I passed this fucking thing, I hear like a goddamn guttural croak or scream. It sounded like a raven, but higher pitched and loud as fuck. I know the sounds my bike makes, and it wasn't that. I rode so fast that I probably would have died if I crashed. I got lost as fuck in those hills, but eventually I made it back. I didn't stop feeling that being watched sensation until I got back between the first and second hill. Then it just went away. I got back home safely and probably never gonna go back that way again. There are stories in my area about blue eyes, some kind of creature that supposedly lives around here. I'm not sure if it has any merit, but holy shit, it sure felt like it. That's all. I have no fucking idea what could be out there, if there is anything. I need a riding buddy. Home with brothers, parents went out. Woke up to my mother screaming my name. Figured they had come home already and I had done something. Went to the top of the stairs and listened. Scream again. Went down the stairs. The screams are coming from my basement. Call for mother's name. Silence. Open basement door. Someone runs up the stairs. Shut door. Lock it. And she begins pounding on the door and screaming again. Run back upstairs and hide under blankets and try to go to sleep. Ask mom how she got out of the basement last night, and I apologize. She was never in the basement. Be driving home from a late shift at work. Moon is out, still a very dark night. Live roughly 30 miles outside of town with my cousin. Driving along the interstate for some of the trip. Take my turn and start the last part of the drive. 12 miles of dirt road that leads back into the woods. Only have 2 neighbors who live right next to me. On the road that I'm on. No one else for 12 miles. I'm about halfway home when I come around a bend, going maybe 35. And I see some bright object crossing the road. Swerve just enough to avoid hitting it. Have no idea what it was. It was very small. Replay making that turn and seeing the object a couple of times in my head. Get curious and turn around. Come around the corner and see the object resting on the opposite side of the road. Totally still. It's a toy. I get out and approach the toy. The forest is totally dark and totally quiet. Still about 5 miles from home and 7 miles from the main road and nearest neighbor. It's a plastic toy train, just the engine portion of the train. I play with the wheels and wonder how it got out there. Turn the toy over and see a dial. Give it a twist. It's a wind-up toy. Remember that this was rolling across the street. I drop the toy and begin to walk backwards to my car, too scared to turn around. Ass bumps into the door rocks, bumps into something, and then settles. Something is blocking the door. Before I can turn around to investigate, Hear something gear off down the road, plodding like it's on all fours. Turn and see nothing. Get in my car and haul ass home. Never saw that toy again. My cousin believes me because he sees weird shit too. Be me, 8 or 9, lying in bed, not sleeping, like a boss. Start to get this really weird feeling that I need to look outside. Ignore it. Try to play that game with my hands where you pretend they're alligator monsters. Fun for a little while, but that feeling is really strong. Eventually say fuck it and get out of bed to go look out the window. We live in a pretty heavily forested part of the town, so all I see is a bunch of pine trees. Must be a strong wind. One tree in particular is getting beat to shit. Get a weird feeling about it, and then it hits me. It is the only tree moving. Looks like it's having a seizure. It was really unnatural. It felt like it was an artifact glitch, to be honest. Suddenly, the tree literally fucking flies into the goddamn sky. And it vanishes. I tactically shit myself and run back to bed, and stay under the covers until dawn. It sounds goofy, but just imagine how pants-shittingly terrifying this was to see in person. So, I don't remember this happening, but my mom got drunk on her 50th birthday recently, and told me this happened when I was like 4. At the time, I was her oldest, and I had a younger brother, we'll call him David, who was like maybe 8 months or so. We lived in an old-ass house on the outskirt of Baltimore. So, since I was young, I would sometimes come in to sleep with them, especially because the door to the attic was inside my bedroom closet. I vaguely do remember being scared of this closet, but then again, we moved when I was 5, so I don't remember much. One night, my mom wakes up to me crying at her bedside. She looks, and I am actually crying over my brother's crib, looking down at him. My mom asked me what's wrong.
He's gonna eat David. What, Anon?
Supposedly, I shushed my mom at this point and whispered,
We can't stop him, so we need to be quiet, Mommy.
Then she heard a loud-ass thumping coming from the ceiling. Supposedly sounded like someone trying to hammer a fucking nail through the ceiling, fast as shit. My mom scooped us both up, and we slept at my grandmother's house, about 10 minutes away. My dad came back from work the next day, and went to check out the attic, but my mom told me she refused to go up there for anything, and I slept in another room until we moved. Last month, live in a semi-rural part of South Carolina. Live on a long road surrounded by patches of woods and houses. About a 10-minute walk down the road, I can get to a friend's house. Had a pal pick me up and bring me there on his way to my friend's. After everyone had gone to sleep at around 3 a.m., I decided I wanted to go home. Started walking down the road. No woods around this area, bunch of trailers all around. Get about halfway to my house when I hit a dark spot surrounded by a big patch of woods on each side. I'm already a little spooked, but I try my best to harden the fuck up. Hear a spine-curdling noise of leaves being rustled around in the surrounding forest. Stop dead in my tracks and carefully listen and look around. Can't see jack shit, but I can hear faint crunching noises, as if it's become aware of my alarmed state. At this point, my autism, or whatever the hell you want to call it, takes over all logical fear and reason. In my brain, I had concluded that some monster or person was intentionally trying to spook me, and that made me pissed. Start fucking spazzing out in the middle of the road.
What the fuck do you think you're doing, you piece of shit? I swear to God, if I get my hands on you, I'll rip your asshole apart, you friend-loving cockmongler.
Just start screaming incoherent babble at what the fuck was there. Suddenly, gain composure. Listen for anything. Silence. Stand there in silence for I don't know how long. Continue on my way home, extremely flustered and confused. When I leave the dark patch of woods, I actually see someone outside the house looking around with a flashlight. Sees me and just looks at me like I'm retarded. Go home. Nothing weird has happened since. Did I become the spook? In the building above, there was a storage area in the loft, estimated 15 feet up, that you could get into only via ladder that we kept outside. One Saturday, like most Saturdays, we had a wedding. Some dumbass boot 19-year-old Marine most likely. They almost always were. Anyways, service is over, everyone is in the next building over for the reception, except me, the priest, and the bride. I was the facility manager waiting for them to get the fuck out so I could lock up, when they asked me to sign as a witness. Just about then, we heard a baby crying, directly above our heads. The priest and the bride went white as a sheet. I probably did too. Priest, you hear that too? Me, nope, let's get the fuck out. Bride, yeah, it's a baby. Me, no, it's not, let's get out. Priest, we have to check on it. Me, no, I have to check on it. But you just volunteered to hold the ladder for me. I go up back, bring in the ladder while the priest watches the only way in or out of the loft. A hole in the wall 15 feet up, and the crying stops as I lean the ladder up on the way. I climb up, and nothing. Not a goddamn thing. Just our plastic nativity scene storage, minus the camel. Baby Jesus was right there. I covered it up with a sheet and locked it up. I didn't like working there. Used to have really bad night terrors and sleep paralysis. Had a recurring dream that used to really fuck me up. Starts with me waking up and not being able to open my eyes. Start to become aware that someone is in the room with me. Struggle harder to open my eyes. Can't move. About then is when I realize I am dreaming and that I know what's going to happen. No matter how hard I try, I can't prevent it. Even if I stop struggling, at some point, my eyes always open on their own. There's a face, literally inches from mine. It's mostly in shadow, but the mouth is wrenched open, and the eyes are rolled down staring at me. Looks like someone's silently screaming furiously. It's not human. The face is all wrong. The eyes are all wrong. My heart stops. And then, I wake up for real, usually because I've been holding my breath. Now that I'm older, I only have it once every few years. Still fucking sucks. Alone one night. No way of going out tonight. It's raining like a motherfucker. Decide to binge some old movies. Haven't busted out the DVD player in ages. It's all the way up in the attic. Some friend set up a little den up there a while ago, but we pretty much abandoned it after a week. Never really go in the attic unless I need to store some useless crap. At the little door that opens and drops down the ladder. Make my way up there. Everything is pitch black. It shouldn't be this dark, since there is usually light from the street coming in through the window. See something big shift slightly out of the corner of my eye. Jump like a fucking retard and start yelling.
Okay, who the fuck is up here?
Hadn't planned on anything actually being up here. Nearly shit myself as I see this big, gnarled up face looking at me. Creepy eyes just staring right through me. Every part of me wanted to get the fuck out of there. Noticed the thing lurch forwards. Dull light flooding in and giving me a better look at this thing's fucked up form as it moved away from the window. As it slowly reaches up, build up all the courage I have and swat at what I assumed was its hand and ask as loud as I could.
Who or what the fuck are you?
Slowly leans forwards. Its face inches away from mine as it whispers.
Read the first letter of every line.